Welcome back to Soft Hands Garage. We're working on a Toyota today. Yep, it's a Furin car. We're going to do it. It's got to be done. It's a wife's car, and it's kind of a mess. Can't even do an alignment on it right now. The struts on all four corners are bad. Going to do the sway bar links along with it. They're attached to the struts anyway, and the tie rod ends are shot, so we're going to do those as well. I was going to do this just as a part of another video, but mixed videos, you guys don't like them. I've done them before. I get hardly any views on it. Not that I'm getting great views now. You know, you take 4 months off and people quit watching. I guess it's fine. Don't watch this one either unless you like it, unless you want to. Nobody's making you. Hopefully it's got some good information for you. If you got yourself a Toyota Camry, this is a Solara 2007 Solara. Camrys, I guess, are really similar, if not maybe the same thing. They call it actually a Toyota Solara Camry. So I don't know, whatever. Just in general, if you're looking at struts, they're all very similar. So, you know, check this one out. If you're thinking about doing struts, it's going to be the same brutal beating that I'm going to take in this video. But hopefully you don't have to do all 4 of them at once. Kind of like what I decided to do with this one. I just had to get it done. I got other things to do. So watch this one and enjoy it. Always tune in for the next one. Hang on to the end. I'll be talking about some more stuff. See ya. Here's some of the stuff I got for the Toyota anyway. I got these tie rod ends as opposed to replacing the entire steering rack. Who knows? With as many miles, I probably should have done the whole steering rack, but these were, I don't know, 20 bucks for the set, so I figured I'll start with that. If it needs the whole rack, I'll do that later. But and then these little sway bar links, these actually go to the shock or the strut. And I guess the hardware gets kind of mangled on them, and they're cheap too. So, you know, when you take them off, it gets mangled. So, you know, most people recommend getting new ones anyway. So, that's that. Got all of those, and just waiting on struts. This guy. So, anyways, just to show, do you want to replace them? And, yeah, I would say I can wiggle this pretty easily, both the top and the bottom of it. Move real, like there's nothing. There's no resistance there whatsoever. And, you know, so they're sloppy. And the new one, no movement. You can't really force them by hand. So, definitely something to replace here. And then up here, we can see lots of wet on the shock, and the old boot, poor old boot, is in several pieces. Yeah, in here. I don't know, this lighting's not great for the, but you can see all these pieces of boot, and it's up in here. Just what's left of it, kind of crammed in there. Oh yeah, just tearing apart. Yeah, I should definitely in need of struts, which may be why they sold it. You know, you pay to get these done, and it ain't cheap when you got all 4 corners to do, for sure. Okay, I got the struts. They look pretty good. Like they're right. Got your sway bar link and your bracket for the brake line. Pretty close. I mean, it's not the same material and stuff, but it looks about right. So, and then that's the other rear. And then I got 2 fronts. Okay, so here's the interesting part. I come in to look for the top of the strut for this rear, and it ain't there. Where'd it go? Where it went is back here underneath the stinking convertible top. So you obviously can't put the top down. So you gotta climb into the back seat and pull the little tabbies out. Where'd they go? These guys. And back in here, you pull this thing back, and there it is, top of the shock tower strut, whatever tower, all up underneath the top and behind this carpet. Just fun stuff. And I'm squoze in here. My head barely fits between the two headrests. And so I can't put my head back here. I'm gonna have to put my head through here and try to look over here while I pull this back and get to those nuts, but yikes. Okay, another interesting note. You can't get the bolt out. That's as far as she goes, and it ain't out yet. So I got to take the stinking lousy caliper off. And then this is kind of interesting because the sway bar link is, of course, under tension. So, you know, how's that going to go back on exactly? Not entirely sure yet. Okay, well, that's out. And this sway bar link's kind of a pain. Made it pop out and squish my finger a little bit. Not bad. Way worse. But anyway, so this definitely looks like the right size replacement here. Yeah, I'm actually fairly surprised. The last struts I did, the spring was a lot thicker, which of course is going to give you a stiffer ride, which is not necessarily desirable. And this one looks like it's at least the same, if not maybe a little smaller diameter. So kind of like it. Hopefully they hold up, because this is a pain, as always. So I got nothing to pry against, but when I push down on the hub, it pushes against, gives some, it moves the sway bar. No, words are hard, but what I'm going to try and do is just use that to get it put in there. So like this. Oh, there we go. And get some angle out of it would help. Yeah, but now it's too much of an angle. I can't get gotta have some threads coming through. There we go. Okay. All right. I got her. Then this has to come up and go in. And this has to come over. Oh, look at that. It's like it was made to do this or something. Back over. I just need, one more hand. I don't even need a whole set of hands, other set of hands. I just need one more hand. That's all I'm saying. Come on. There we go, a knee. A knee and a pair of hands, maybe? Nope. Okay, one knee and one pair of hands. And that's all I need, too. Anyway, I'll work the other one out with the proper geometry, but we're good. I just got to put that thing on. Tighten everything down. Tighten her up there. Tighten these. And it's done. It's just labor. It's two nuts, 3 nuts up there, so it's a total of 5 nuts, and 2 bolts with nuts. Oh, and these 2 bolts here. Nothing to it. All right, that's done. Now I got to get the nuts tied up on the top of it. The key to that part is to find a comfortable spot, because you're going to be in there for a minute. All right, that's it. We're done with this side. Got these torqued down. These are, let's say, 85 foot-pounds is all on those, which I'm used to. Like, it was 100 and something on 150, I think. And the front ones actually are 155. So just something about these rear ones don't require as much torque. But anyways, got that. Got the nuts up on top. Everything's tightened down. It's ready to go back together. Yeah, I forgot to check before I started, but the right height, bottom of the flare is 28 1/4 on this side now, the done side, and it's 28 or 27 7/8 on this side. So it's about 3/8 of an inch higher, kind of less than I would have expected, actually, but yeah, here's what it is. Probably be best to put the jack on first. Oh, I'm on the wrong side. Oh, great. All right, I'm going to see what this jack does for me. Because the other side, we got into it pretty good. And I don't know, I'm afraid maybe feelings got hurt and whatnot. So see if this can help me a little. Oh, my. Okay, well, you know, live and learn type of thing. That is ever so much better. I do want to put a little drop of Loctite. I know it's got aircraft nuts on it, but just that whole peace of mind thing, you know. Okay, just got to put the bolt nuts on up here. We're done. All right, so the rears are done. I'm going to take a little break before getting back to it on the fronts. I'm going to take it for a test drive. Just kind of see if I feel a difference with just the rears done and the front still needing it, and then kind of the overall feel once all 4 corners are done. In looking at it, I did go ahead and check the ride height on it again, and they're even at 28 1/2 inches. We started at 27 7/8, 27 7/8 inches on the one side that I checked before I started it. So that's 5/8 difference in ride height, and I was thinking, about it. I was like, well, that shouldn't have anything to do with them being new versus old, really, because the shocks being shot they're just for rebound, so it shouldn't really have anything to do with the ride height that I can think of, that I can imagine. So it's just a difference in the springs, the old ones versus these new aftermarket ones. But I think I had more of a spread on that with the Buick, like 3/4 inch, and I like it. It's fine. I be honest with you, I can't even tell the difference. So 5/8 difference in ride height in the rear. So far, that's what we're doing with, and I'm going to check the fronts right now, get a measurement, and take her for a test drive. Okay, here we go. I know where there's some bumps to try it out. It's pretty much anywhere in my town. No rattle. Kind of figured that'd go away. Felt pretty good though, coming off the curb there. Oh shoot. I got the head, or the top, open. It's interesting that it lets you go ahead and drive with it part way open. Still got some rattle up front. I was wondering how much of the rattle was front and how much of it was rear. Definitely most of it was in the rear, but definitely still got some up front. Okay, we got these huge potholes, and you can't see it over there, but there's these giant steel plates on the road that give about a 3-inch or so bump out of it. It's awesome. Love it. Destroyed. Okay. One of the really big trucks that help make it the road what it is. Hopefully I don't lose the camera here. I'm gonna give her some gas. Boy, is that the front? I sure hope that's the front. That's squeaky. That is pretty good ride over it, but it's kind of noisy. Hopefully it's the fronts. And look at that, all that shaking is the front right now. Yeah. Hopefully that takes care of that. We'll try it again. Put it on here when we're done, and hopefully this shaking goes away. Okay, so things are a little different up front here. Pretty much the same concept as all of them are. You've got this is a clip here, it looks like, that just slides off. It's indexed on either side. And then you got this bolt here to take off for the brake line. And then in the 2 pinch bolts in the strut. And it looks pretty simple. I don't have to take the caliper off because it's not going to be in the way of the bolts coming out this time, so that's nice. But I also up front have to replace the tie rod end instructed by the alignment shop. They said you really want to replace the steering rack, but at least replace the tie rod end. So I'm going with the least, and just because it's not that big of a job, but I don't know if there's really no other reason. I'm sure there's a bushing in there by that bolt, that the bolt goes through. But I don't know. I haven't had a whole lot of trouble with it. Oh my goodness, look at that. Control arm bushing. That's not pretty. So that may be next. I don't really want to, but that may be next. We'll see what they say. If it'll take the alignment, I'm not doing it for right now, but we'll see how she goes. So I think what I want to do is take the tie rod end off first and replace that. So I'm used to counting threads when I put a new tie rod end on, but this has a lock nut on it. So theoretically, I should be able to remove this end, which has a castle nut, a cotter pin, and a castle nut, and then I should be able to twist it off, and then just put the new one back up against the lock nut, and then kind of snug the lock nut down. So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. We'll see. Okay, so you can't hold this and get the jam nut loose at the same, you know, by holding. All of this stuff moves. What the idea would be, actually, tip would be to get the jam nut loose before you break loose the tie rod end. But, you know, with it loose, you know, the tie rod end off, I just put it back in there, and that held it. So now I do have to count it, even though, because I've taken the jam nut off probably half a, you know, maybe even a quarter turn, but I'm not going to trust that. I know this is exactly where it was to start with, so I'm going to go ahead and count that off, twisting it off so that I got the exact same amount going back on. Okay, it was 16 to get it off. Yeah, I'd say she's she's a goner for sure. So, yeah, compare it to this, she ain't moving that. So, yeah, so that's good. Just gonna put it on, and we're done with that. And TRQ is who I bought these from, and I actually ended up watching their video on it. And they actually recommend doing some anti-seize. So I'm gonna glob some of that on there. I don't know. It's controversial, but they said do it, so I'm doing it. Already got this thing out, and it is a bear. It's a bit of a fight. So as soon as I actually got away with a lot more than a lot of guys I've seen, where they've had to sawzall it. But what happens is I break the nut loose on it, and you get a few turns out of it, and then it starts to turn the stud, you know, the joint. So you get your Allen key in there and hold it while you're turning it. Well, that's great. But the one that's the worst, of course, is the one in here where you've got no real access. You've got a little space right here for a flat wrench, and then your Allen key in there. Yeah, you know, breaking it loose too with that little bit of rotation was one of those stacked wrench things to pull it and get some leverage on it to get it to go was what it took. So anyway, I mean, it's fine. Like I say, I didn't have to sawzall it or go too crazy with it. You know, the Allen key held it, and it turned. So we were okay, but watch out for that. Now on this side, I don't know if you can make it out very well on the camera, but it's wet. Up here, back here, all this is wet. On the steering is wet, and all that's wet back in there on the frame. And that's because the power steering is leaking, or was leaking. The problem is that the power steering's right about where the flashlight's shining, right on the other side of the inner wheel well. And it's a bear to get to. So what I was going to do was put some stop leak in it. But the thing is it hasn't leaked since I bought it. Hasn't gone down anyway since I bought it. This is the power steering right here. and it's in the perfect range, and it's been in the perfect range the whole time. So I'm thinking maybe somebody beat me to it as far as putting stop leak in it. So I'm gonna hose it down with the brake cleaner and try and get all the wet as best I can off, at least in some places, just see if it's still doing it or if it maybe just quit because they put stop leak in it. But either way, that's how that's going. Okay, so this is a little hard to count. I don't know if the camera's gonna pick it up, probably not. Anyways, it's recessed. So the threads don't start for about a 1/4 inch in here. And that makes it pretty much impossible to count. It doesn't work. I got 11 before I hit the jam nut, and I'm, fortunate that I left it like at the 1/4 turn or whatever. It wasn't even that. It's like 1/8 of a turn just to loosen it, and then you can pull the tie rod end off. And so I just leave it there, and that's going to have to be close enough. First thing I'm doing when I'm done with all this is taking it in for alignment anyway, so it should be pretty close. All done, all in. Tight. Torqued. Torqued. Oh, I gotta do the nuts up top, and it's done. All right, here we go again. Backing out over the curb. I didn't get any creaking noises. There we go. Oh, no creaking sounds. I'm gonna do that again. I'm gonna go over. The other side's the one with all the big steel plates. Nice, that was a big pothole. Smooth as butter, folks. I'm gonna go over this one fast. Let that car go. Oh, I did get a little creaking noise on that last big one. There it is. That sounds like the front. Wonder if it's those control arm bushings making the noise. I mean, it's nowhere near like it was. I mean, you couldn't go over nothing. You could just drive straight down the road and you would hear the creaking if you just started getting a little bit of bounce, So, much better, very smooth. No steering wheel vibration. 55 miles an hour going over bumps. It's not rattling or creaking. Come on, guys. Can I go 55 miles an hour for 2 seconds? I'm going 55 and it's just tracking pretty darn good right here. Yeah, I'm calling it a win. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and admit that was brutal. Moses sandals, that hurt. a guy. Well, okay, not a guy because that guy's in Tennessee, but this guy, it hurt. And that was 6 hours today. I had started on it yesterday, the first wheel, the passenger rear. As soon as I got the UPS, came and dropped them off last night. I got an hour in before it was too late. Needed dinner. But anyway, so 6 hours today of just going against Mike Tyson basically for 6 hours. That hurt. I'm not going to be able to walk tomorrow, pretty much guarantee it. But it's done. All four corners. Look, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Come on. So now, I'm going to go ahead and put this one on, like I said, because, it could be useful to somebody. You got a Toyota Solara or Camry, whatever. Same thing, pretty much, I guess. And maybe, it's got some tips for you. Maybe you just want to watch me get beat up by a car. But anyways, okay, next one I put out is going to be that surprise one that I was telling you. So tune in.